What's up, Facebook? Happy Tuesday. Recovery Fitness going live. The sun is out today. That's exciting. Still a little chilly. Looks a little deceiving, but my phone said it was going to be 60, and that makes me happy. Hope everyone is doing okay, hanging in there. I feel like yesterday was kind of a rough start for a lot of people. Maybe it was just kind of the typical Monday blah. But nonetheless, back at it today. Hope you all are finding the swing of things, finding the rhythm of your week, getting your routine going, planning some things to look forward to later in your week, hopefully. Hope you are getting through okay. Hey there, Jake. Wait a few more minutes for some people to join. So yeah, I hope everyone is finding some things to keep themselves busy, finding some different things, kind of maybe tapping into that creativity and finding different things, different projects around the house, different hobbies or crafts you haven't done in a long time. I hope everyone's starting to find some different things instead of repeating the same things over and over again. It's nice to find different projects. It's also nice to find, new hobbies, things we've never maybe spent time doing before. A couple of weeks ago, I was actually doing some watercolor painting. It's very easy to just go on YouTube and find different painting tutorials. And I just searched in, I think I was looking specifically paint like birch trees. So it's very easy to just even go on YouTube and like look up paint tutorials, like order yourself some paint supplies on Michael's. Like even if you're somebody who doesn't paint, you know what I mean? Like it's fun to try something new, and it's very easy. Like, if you do have that access to internet, like it's nice to be able to just go and find these instructional videos to just learn some new hobbies. So I hope you all are starting to explore and experiment with some different things. Hi, Kirsten. Hey, Marilyn. Glad you're here. All right, so we will jump into our reading. So I have been reading out of Hopeful Healing by Mackenzie Phillips. Just to give you a little background, as I always do. So Mackenzie is an actress. She was on a few soap operas back in the day. She's also the author of her best-selling memoir that's called High on Arrival. I've actually not read that, but the more I've been reading this, I'd actually be kind of curious to get into that. I've got a long list of books that is piling up to start reading, or some that I'm already in and need to finish reading so that I can read new ones. So I hope you all are finding this is a good time to honestly just, find new things that you want to read. Like I'm somebody who read a lot growing up, but I just don't make time for it in my adult life today. And the times that I would make time for it, I would sit down at the end of the night and be like, oh, this is nice, I get time to read. And then I'd fall asleep 5 seconds later. So this has been a new time for me to start exploring books again and starting to read some different things. So I hope you all are enjoying the gift of books as well during this downtime. So Mackenzie is also the daughter of the founder of the 1960s band, the Mamas and the Papas. Mackenzie grew up in a dysfunctional environment and subsequently battled a near-fatal drug addiction. She's now a drug and alcohol counselor and an outspoken advocate for addiction awareness and education. She gets real about the hard times of recovery, how to get through them, and the joy of experiencing life clean and sober. So each one of these chapters is its own little essay, kind of, just different pieces all surrounding different topics of addiction, different topics of recovery and sobriety. She does throw little bits and pieces of her story in these two, but really this is just her sharing from her own experience. This is not a clinical book by any means. It's a wisdom-based book on her own experience that she's been through in her life. So she says, I wanted to make sure I covered things like mindfulness and negative self-talk. Both are endemic concepts in recovery. I cover some basics like addiction and recovery terminology, stereotypes, and well-known methods for recovery. They are sprinkled throughout the chapters and are meant to help those new to recovery understand what they are going through within the context of a variety of treatment pathways. So there's all sorts of great stuff in this book. So I hope that it has maybe interested a couple of you into maybe ordering it online and checking it out. It's been a great book for me. So we're actually on the last chapter. That went really fast. So what I've been doing is just reading little bits and pieces to you guys. And just kind of pulling out really the meat of it. I've kind of been leaving out parts of her stories or things that might be, really triggering to share on Facebook Live. But, by all means, if you are interested in the book, I really encourage you to order it and check it out. It's great. So I've been just pulling little bits and pieces and not reading the whole chapters. They are a bit longer, and I want to make sure I get to comments in here, of course. So, of course, I always encourage you guys to comment. I love reading what you have to say. I always encourage you to just be open and vulnerable, and it's always respectful to each other's comments on here. And I do read it exactly as Mackenzie has written it, but always encouraging you to be mindful of the language we use too. Even some of the language in here is a little bit outdated too, kind of moving forward with the mindset of, we want to, as people in recovery, we want to make a strong image and a strong impact of what recovery really looks like, and help really smash all the stigma that goes along with recovery and, substance use disorder and mental health. There's just so much stigma that's really wrapped up in all of that. So being very mindful of the way we tell our stories when we're out in public and to other people, being mindful of the language that we're using, kind of using those person-centered language and really uplifting language, really. But again, just kind of keeping that in mind as I'm reading through these. So, like I said, we are on the last chapter, the conclusion. So this is titled, Hey, You're Only Human. This is on making goals, having a bad day, and what happens next. And there's a Japanese proverb at the beginning that says, fall 7 times, stand up 8. I love that. Simple and right to the point, right? I'm sure some of you can relate to that. Fall 7 times and stand up 8. It's right. Keep getting back up. All right, so we'll jump right in here. We all have bad days. Hell, we sometimes have bad weeks or months. We all revert back on occasion to a former self that we have fought to overcome. It's a part of being human. It's the same with being sober. There are good days and there are bad days. There are days when you feel safe and days when you don't. Sometimes you feel like you can stay sober, and sometimes you're scared shitless that you can't. I don't mean craving or wanting to get high. Alcohol and drug use are just symptoms of a deeper underlying issue. I mean days with old behaviors come to the fore because of issues we are dealing with. It's when the behaviors pop up that you know you're struggling. It can be getting stressed out and deciding to ditch your responsibilities to relieve that stress. It can be lying about how much work you have to do to avoid going out with a friend. Those might be behaviors you did when you were using. If those pop up, know you're on notice. You're on notice because you know that a part of being sober is showing up for your responsibilities and your commitments, even if you'd rather be doing something else. Really working at being sober means that when you do suit up and show up, no matter how you can feel good about the fact that you did. I remember once when the light bulb in my refrigerator was burned out for 3 years and I didn't care. It was okay with me. I'd be rooting around in a dark refrigerator when I had the effing light bulb on the shelf in the pantry. It was a part of a pattern of self-neglect that I learned to recognize. It's not okay with me anymore to root around in the dark. When the light bulb burns out, I replace it. It's little things like that that are indicators to me of my wellness. That's the difference between active addiction and active recovery. Really good points there too. I can totally relate to that, but it's more, I think I even mentioned this the other day. It's just stupid stuff like, like not checking the mail for whatever reason, right? I'm just neglecting something because I just don't want to deal with it. And oftentimes knowing full well in my mind that most of the mail I get is garbage, and it's like coupons and advertisements for Spectrum Internet and bank credit cards. Like, it's just junk mail anyways. But for whatever reason, sometimes I do get in that mindset of like where I just want to avoid it. I don't want to deal with it. So, and I think I even did this a couple weeks ago. I went and checked the mail and saw it was something from the IRS. And I was like, I don't want to deal with this. I literally put it back in the mailbox. Like, that's how ridiculous that behavior is. Like, here, put it back in the mailbox. Maybe that'll make it go away, And it just turned out they were just giving me a notice about my tax return. It was nothing even serious, but it was that silly behavior of like, not checking in with myself and seeing where my wellness is. It's just that avoidance behavior, right? So just funny stuff like that we can relate to, but, knowing full well that I love that. That's the difference between active addiction and active recovery. Good stuff. Kind of skipping around a little bit here. There are things you can do to keep bad days to a minimum. One of the biggest things that has always helped me was creating structure. Structure is important because generally the addict or alcoholic, when actively in the addiction, doesn't really have a schedule unless they're very functional. Creating a daily routine that has you getting up and doing your recovery-based activities with reliability is really important. And I'd also like to add too that this is a big one, especially for right now, for the pandemic that we're all going through. This is not just for people in recovery. This is for all people. Like, structure is just one of those things right now that is very important. So something really good to tune into here. Creating a daily routine that has you getting up and doing your recovery-based activities with reliability is really important. One of the worst things an addict can do is to have a bunch of free time on their hands. It leaves them room to swing back into their old way of thinking and being without structure. It can create a rudderless feeling that prohibits mindfulness. You end up feeling out of sync and out of time when you don't have a clear routine, which leaves you feeling as if you're not really present. There is a rhythm to a routine that is almost musical. The forward motion, the syncopation of a task well done, followed by a moment of rest, then the beginning again. We all march to the beat of a different drummer. Are you marching to the beat of death metal with its relentless pulsing? Or are you marching to the beat of singer-songwriter music with its mellow melodies? What's your rhythm? If you're always going at a relentless pace, maybe get into a more relaxed rhythm instead of the thrash. Take your self-accountability seriously, because you're only really accountable to yourself. Create reasonable goals and try to reach them. Reasonable is the key here. I have a lot of clients who are like, okay, so first day I get out, here's my list. And there'll be like 85 things to do on that list. That's not a list, that's a book. 8 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to go for a run. Then I'm going to call 15 people in the program. And then I'm going to go to the noon meeting. Then I'm going to go cook a gourmet lunch for my mother. And then I'm going to go to Target. And I'm going to finish my, whoa, slow down. You're going to burn out after about number 3 of the 85. Save the other 82 for later. Create realistic, actionable goals that won't make you shoot your accountability in the foot. Keep it small. Keep it incremental. Don't set yourself up for failure. Practice awareness of what you're doing, when you're doing it, why you're doing it, and what the purpose of doing it is. I can totally relate that. I'm not sure about any of you, but not even just in early recovery, just in general, there's times where I get in those moments of like, oh, I'm feeling super ambitious today. I'm going to make a to-do list of 20 things on there, and I'm going to call this person, that person, this person, that person. I'm going to go for a run. I'm going to get this crazy workout in. I'm going to work on this art project over here. I'm going to finish a book. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And on the list goes. And holy goodness, is it halfway through my day before I'm completely overwhelmed. And for me, I've been sharing this the past couple days. There's those moments where I try to put all my energy into 10 different tasks at one time. And then I end up with an even bigger mess, and usually a bunch of uncompleted tasks. And usually a bunch of half-assed effort tasks. You know what I mean? Like, I can't put this overwhelming expectation on my plate. I've got to break it down and keep it simple. All of us, it's just so important. We don't want to set ourselves up for failure. So like she says, keep it small and keep it incremental. And when you're creating these tasks on your to-do list for your day or your goals you're working on, we need to be present in those things. If I've got a to-do list or a list of goals or tasks that's as long as my arm, okay, while I'm doing each task, all I'm going to be doing really is focusing on the next task and what's after that. Oh, and then I got to do this. Oh, and then I got to do that. My mind is always going to be racing and moving to the next one. And that's overwhelming, so it's so important just to slow down. And while I'm doing each one of those tasks, practice awareness, practice mindfulness, practice awareness of what you're doing, when you're doing it, why you're doing it, and what the purpose of it is. Again, I've really been encouraging you guys quite a bit to, focus on that self-awareness. Pay attention to the tasks you're doing. I don't care if it's simple as taking out the trash and doing the dishes and scooping up your cat's stuff in the litter box. No matter what the task is, no matter what you're doing, do it mindfully. Keep your entire self in that moment. Pay attention to every little detail. Pay attention to how checking with all of your 5 senses at that time, even if you're sitting down eating dinner, like pay attention to all your five senses, practice that mindfulness, be fully submerged and present in the moment and the activity that you're doing. That will really just, it'll help that awareness, and it'll just help you connect so much deeper, but it'll also relieve some of that stress of focusing on the future. So many of us just very easily and very quickly get wrapped up in the to-dos of later today, the to-dos of tomorrow, the what's coming up this weekend, what's going to happen next month, how are we going to return to normal life. How are we going to do this? Stop. We don't know. We can't get so far ahead of ourselves that we're so wrapped up in that stuff. Like, it's just so detrimental. It's so detrimental for up here. We're just going to drive yourself nuts by doing that. She also says, when you've had a bad day, when your crap's been knocked off the table and nothing seemed to go right for you, it's also good to know that there are tons of ways to release endorphins through physical activity. You can release endorphins and alleviate your mood with movement. Raise your arms up over your head and hold that pose for a while. It will release endorphins. Try it. Stand up and raise your hands over your head. Hold that for 2 minutes. If you're like me, you probably started to rock and sway while you stood there. Shake around and dance a little if it strikes you. After you finish, sit for a minute and feel how you are. Did it elevate your mood just a tad? If it didn't work, try doing it naked while jumping up and down. If you do that at the bare minimum, you'll get to laugh at yourself, which can be the best mood lifter and stress ass kicker ever. Nothing like being willfully ridiculous to elevate the mood. Which brings me to finding humor in things. Even if it's dark humor, laughter is just outright healing. It's easier to get than you think, because if we look closely, most things have a certain level of absurdity to them. I dance with my dogs when I'm feeling restless or scatterbrained. I'll turn up the music and shake around the couch to an audience of confused but supportive pugs and chihuahuas. I know they believe in me, even if no one's going to be calling me for so you think you can dance anytime soon. You can dance like nobody's watching. Well, you can at least dance like nobody's watching, but a bunch of deeply confused canines. It never fails to lift me up into a space filled with humor, a space that even feels a little bit like grace. It helps that humor and laughter are just other faces of hope. And I think it's so important to remember that too. I don't need to go on that whole topic. I think the majority of people know that there's so many studies how physical activity and moving around is good for us. It releases those natural endorphins. And we need those, right? So that's why I always encourage people to get outside for a walk. Even if it's kind of crappy and cold and you don't feel like it, bundle up, get outside, go walk for 10 minutes, go walk for 15 minutes. It doesn't have to be this huge to do, but it is just so important for us to just get up and get moving. And I love that, raising your hands up over your head, hold that pose for a while, hold that pose for 2 minutes. And it's supposed to release endorphins. I haven't tried that, but I will have to do that right after this video. And I love that. Even if you try it and it doesn't work, you do it again. She's just said something silly, like, doing that nude and just being able to laugh at yourself, right? Because that's really what the moral of that is to be able to laugh at ourselves and not take life so darn seriously, especially during a time like this. If you want to choose to spend all of your time and your energy focusing on things that are outside of all of our control right now, be my guest, But I noticed that the few moments that I do start to get wrapped in that, I have to pull myself back and just do something ridiculous or do something to get up and get moving or change the subject, talk about something else. That's not where I want to spend my time and energy. And it happens sometimes, it's very natural for us to, want some type of certainty and want some type of answers during this time. Absolutely. But if I'm spending day in and day out obsessing over what's going to happen and watching the news, I'm going to be stressed and I'm going to be overwhelmed, and I'm still going to wind up with most likely no more answers than I knew when I started that cycle, right? So we can pull that back and we can do something. We can release those endorphins and alleviate our mood with movement, with silliness, with laughter. I love that she's talking about just being silly and dancing in her living room and the dogs are watching and laughing. I can just picture that. And it's so important for us to have those silly moments, right? Even if you're making a trip to Wegmans once every week, once every 2 weeks, even if you're going to pick up your Instacart order, can you put on an absolutely ridiculous outfit along with your face mask on? You know what I mean? Just for the simple fact that it's silly and ridiculous, and, it lightens our mood. One of the best things that we can have in this life and learn is just to not take ourselves so seriously. It's so important that we remain that sense of, childlike humor and laugh, right? And if you're feeling like you're having a hard time doing that, just, I don't know, call up some of your friends, ask them to tell you a ridiculous story, or what is one of your funniest childhood memories growing up, or what's the most ridiculous thing you've done, right? We can create our own happiness and we can create our own laughter and our own stories that we choose to share. So sometimes other people have really funny stories too, and it's good to ask them those. It kind of takes us outside of ourselves by asking about somebody else. But also, you can both kind of relive in those funny memories if, family or friends choose to share those with you. It's just a good way to lighten the mood. So we're kind of getting again to the end of this chapter and the end of this book. And Mackenzie says, hope is where we started. So hope is where we'll end. I'm going to close where I started the book by saying that we are more than our substance use disorder. We're regular people with all of the regular people things to deal with. We just sometimes have a little something more to add to our regular stuff. During the course of this book, we've covered lots of things, from mindfulness to fear, from trust to shame. I've used lots of metaphors to try to help explain things, and I've used my own life to show examples. I've spoken about hope, grace, and faith, and I don't think I've done them justice in the measure of what those three things are capable of doing for us, but I sure did try. I've talked about addiction as a sidekick and passenger, and recovery as a road. I've used watercolors and sweatshirts with kittens on them and leaping into the unknown and steady lights on the shore to explain concepts that can be nebulous until you've experienced them for yourself. I've also given things to think about and some examples of what has worked for me. It is my most sincere hope that, in some small way, what you have read here has helped you on your journey to recovery. The stone-cold truth is that recovery is hard. It takes an enormous amount of dedication to get there and stay there. Finding your motivation is huge. The motivation itself can be as simple or as complex as you need it to be. Hell, one of my greatest motivators that helped me with my recovery was that tomato jam at the staff table at Alina Lodge. That was just a reference to a story that I did not share earlier in the chapter. She says, you will never work so hard at something in your entire life as you strive for recovery every day. The most important thing is to never give up, even if you stumble. Brush that stuff off and get back on the horse. In Full Catastrophe Living, John Kabat-Zinn notes, your life is already doing itself. You just have to be mindful of it. I love that. At some point in time in your recovery, you will wake up and you will realize that you have changed and that change feels natural. It feels like the real you. That is the day you'll know that you have hit your stride, that you have all the pieces you need to continue on, even on the bad days. It's also the day that you'll truly realize that this recovery road has no endpoint. It's the road you're going to be walking for the rest of your life. So it's your job to make that walk a good one. A while ago, I read this article in National Geographic that stuck with me over time. Something about it connected with me, and now I think I know why. It's about the Arctic tern, a little bird with gray feathers and white markings and a black top hat. She's a tiny thing that has an amazing amount of endurance. She makes the world's longest migration every year. Her journey is a zigzagging 44,000 miles. During her flight, she will choose routes that follow wind patterns that move her slowly forward so that she doesn't waste her energy flying directly into the wind. She also stops, rests, and refuels on the ocean from time to time to get her strength back. Her flight is all about strategies to help her traverse the distance each year. By the time her 30-year life is over, the Arctic tern will have flown about 1.5 million miles. Wow. You are seemingly fragile, but capable of remarkable things. The tern never doubts that she will make it from her starting place to her ending place, and neither should you. Remember, hope is the thing with wings. And she always leaves at the end of each chapter just kind of a little wrap up and a conclusion and usually a take home. So today says, be inspired. One thing that has helped me on my path is the wisdom and inspiration of others. Over time, I've collected quotes and lines from poems and songs that have sparked a connection for me or created a new meaning for me or made me feel less alone. I screenshot this collection on my phone. I have friends that create meme boards that they post to Facebook and Pinterest, and other friends who write the things that inspire them on sticky notes and post them around their house and office. Collected inspiration and wisdom help me bolster on my journey. Perhaps they will for you too. You know that saying, it takes a village? Well, recovery takes a village and then some. Reach out, talk, listen, learn, share. See how it feels to walk this new road together instead of alone. Right now, alone might feel familiar and comfortable, but get out there and live. So she's just got some short poems in the back talking about relapses or return to use in here. But other than that, that is the end of this book. I am going to post the title in the chat right now. Just give me a second. So I hope that you all have enjoyed going through this as much as I've enjoyed going back through it with you. Like I said, I have read this before, and it's been a while since I've gone back through it, and it's just been so helpful for me. There's just some really great stuff. There's some humor and lightheartedness, and there's some heavy stuff in there too. And these are all points of addiction and recovery, and it's just a great read, and they're all just really good reminders. So my take home for you today is actually just, to reflect on some of the things we talked about today. But I really encourage you, if you have the means to do so, check out the book. Someone told me about that you can buy like used books on Amazon, I guess, have them delivered to your house. There's another book website, and I can't remember the name of it. Sorry, that's not helpful. But you can also find books on different websites for a lot cheaper too. So if you have the means to do so, and if you're looking for a good book on recovery and, addiction and how to get through it, I do strongly recommend this one. It's a very easy read. It's a pretty short book. I've gone through it. I've gone through each chapter with you. Again, not reading the whole chapter, but I've pretty much gone through each chapter with you for the past, like week and a half now. Week and a half, 2 weeks. So again, it's a pretty quick read. But I encourage you to check it out if you're looking for some new books on that topic. So I'd love to do some check-ins real quick. Jake says, this is a great reminder. I've just started really listening to my mind, body, and what my feelings are telling me. That feeling of unfulfillment that I feel because I'm either doing something or not doing something I know I should or shouldn't be doing. I know when I'm off, and I can usually pinpoint what it is that's bothering me. Likewise, I know when my mind, body, and spirit need a rest from the work. When someone does something and it bothers me, I have to weigh out how to handle it, but I know I need to address it in some manner. These are my boundaries. That is awesome. Really good stuff. And all that is the result and the reward of hard work and a growing self-awareness, right? So the fact that you're able to, recognize, like, when something's feeling off, when your body's telling you something, that right or wrong feeling when you feel like you should or shouldn't be doing something. You have those tools that that you can use when you're kind of in a stuck situation. You have supports you can reach out to. But all that is through really just getting to know yourself and doing the work and figuring out what works and what doesn't. And that's going to look different for each and every single one of us. Each and every single one of you, that's gonna look different. They're the basic things that we can all be, suggested to do, reaching out and connecting and using our supports. But the way we do them and who we're connecting with, that's going to be different for all of us. And it's going to happen at different times. So that's amazing, Jake. Good stuff. Christina says, oh my God, you were totally describing me right now, Chelsea. That's Mackenzie. Just reading her experience, strength, and hope. Good advice on the 5 senses. Thanks. Melissa says, love that. I'm positive for the most part. It's not in my control, not my fight to spend energy on. Absolutely. Yeah, right. And we can be positive for the most part, and just, having that grace and that self-compassion to realize that, I'm probably not going to be positive every millisecond, every single day, just recognizing that. And the days that I am feeling a little off, again, that's where that awareness comes in. Okay, I'm feeling off. I'm feeling irritable. I'm feeling crabby today. I'm feeling sad and miserable. What is that? Check in with it. Where is that coming from? Did something happen that triggered that? Do I need something? Halt, hungry, angry, lonely, tired? Checking in and really looking into that. And, if you feel like you need to sit with it for a little bit, then sit with it, but also don't stay there. Don't stay there for a day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days at a time. That negative energy can just really pile up quick, and those old behaviors will very quickly just creep back in, so if you feel like you need to sit with it, do that, but also have a plan of, okay, I'm going to sit with these emotions for a little while that they're kind of uncomfortable and they're kind of ick, but what am I going to do to get out of those? What can I do to change that? Is that where that silliness comes in? Is that where dancing around the house with your dogs and your kids and your family members come in? I don't know. Is that where you need to get up and go take a walk? I don't know. Is that where you need to pull out your phone and actually call somebody and say, hey, like, I'm struggling. I'm feeling blah right now. I don't know. Only you can determine that, right? It's gonna be different for all of us. What book? Oh, okay. So I posted the title of the book farther down, but I'll just give you another look as I'm reading these comments. Sorry, I'm struggling. Everything's backwards on this camera. Yes, that's correct, Melissa. She is the child of the mamas and the papas. Yep. And again, her other book that she has written, her memoir, it's called High on Arrival. And that really gets into more of her story. I would actually be curious in checking that out. How do you spell arrival? Arrival. So that is the name of her memoir too. I posted that. Yep. All right. Well, we are pretty much at our time today, so I am going to wrap it up. But thank you all for being here, and thank you guys for commenting. Thank you for tuning in, and I do hope there's at least one or two of you out there that were really interested in the book, and check it out. Let me know how you like it. It's been a good resource for me. It's nice to actually go back through and be reminded of some of that stuff again. So thank you all for being here. I will see you all tomorrow. As usual, if anybody is struggling right now and looking for peer services, please connect with us. All the information is in the above description, the phone number, our email address. You guys can Facebook message us. And you can also check out our other Facebook Live videos if you just go back to our Rock Recovery Fitness Facebook page, and you'll be able to see the virtual schedule of all the other videos on there. So I encourage you to check those out this week. Fill your time with some positivity, with some fun, hopefully. And I hope you all have an awesome day. And yeah, I will check in with y'all tomorrow. Bye.